I'm back in freezing Halstead, Kansas, my home away from home, since it's where my mechanic, the Car Wizard, resides, and it's where all of my money goes. Once again, I've paid another large bill, which the Wizard is going to use to get one of those gold grills rappers get to protect his teeth when he chomps on the flashlight, and I picked up my now fixed 1992 Acura NSX, which I've owned for a little over a year now. The few people who watched my last video on the NSX might remember why it's here, but for most others who decided to skip out on my last video, really, it was my least watched video in the last 6 months, something inside my transmission had started to rattle, and it was made worse when I used my NSX to film me failing to teach a 15-year-old how to drive a manual transmission. It turned out to be the throwout bearing in the clutch that was rattling, which requires dropping out the entire transmission to fix. Lovely. Interestingly, the clutch on my 85,000-mile NSX had been replaced before, and the transmission had also been apart at some point, likely to address the dreaded snap ring issue associated with this year of NSX. I could have recycled the clutch, but that would have been a waste since replacing the throwout bearing requires dropping the transmission and basically doing a clutch job anyway. So I went with a Science of Speed 350 series, which is supposed to be more durable and feel a whole lot better than stock. So I paid an extra $1,400 just to have a slightly stiffer feeling clutch, which is pretty darn stupid. This is actually the second failure I've had in the year that I've owned this car. Yeah, I've had it a year, and as usual with my car anniversaries, I've added up how much this year has cost me, and it isn't pretty. But the crazy cost of ownership with this NSX was mostly self-inflicted. And even though I'm going to take a pretty big hit whenever I decide to sell this thing, I've enjoyed every minute of owning this car. To review, a year ago I bought the cheapest Acura NSX available in the United States with a clean title and a manual transmission. It was located in Washington State, and I paid $31,375 for it, along with another $1,000 to have it shipped back to Kansas. It arrived with several mechanical issues, but since it's an Acura and not a Ferrari, my faithful mechanic, the Car Wizard, was able to sort out all of the little problems, along with doing a timing belt and water pump service for only $2,575. Stupid cheap. Now, if I had just stopped there, I would have been way ahead, and I could have flipped this thing for a big profit. But no, I had to make it special. It's too cold. I can't do it out here anymore. We're gonna have to do the rest of it inside. Come look at inside. I spent another $6,200 transforming the interior from a pimp my ride kind of victim into a SEMA style show car with custom diamond stitched leather and carbon fiber bits throughout, and I classed up the interior just with little touches here and there. And also it had a really nice modern stereo in it that was fitted really poorly, so I had to get that all situated right. That $6,200 also included a newer set of factory NSX wheels that I had refinished in metallic gray. This put me a little over $41,000 into this NSX, which is probably more than it's worth. And to make things a little harder to sell, about 50% of you hated what I had done to this, and definitely let me know with your opinions in the comments section. Oh, I just love all you guys' opinions. You know, all that negative feedback mattered little to me, as I love the car, and after months of fixing it, I finally got to enjoy the fruits of my labor, or the Wizard's labor. Early on, I just... Woo! Oh! Early on, I decided to take it to a track day and see how it would perform, which was another one of my least watched videos of 2017. And I actually lost control of the NSX and went off into the grass. Now, the reason this happened was a combination of bad tires, terrible driving, and the fact that I decided to bypass my ABS brakes. Instead of repairing the system that was on the fritz, I decided to have it all removed and bypassed. I know, totally brilliant. I ruined my tires that day, and my AC compressor randomly decided to lock up, and I had the car detailed after that track day, which got a couple of the engine's ignition coils wet and ruined them. So that month I spent another $1,500 on my NSX, meaning I was officially way upside down, and every dollar I spent from this point forward was a loss. A smart man would have taken note of this fact and quit throwing money at stupid mods, but I couldn't help myself and fitted the NSX with a used HKS exhaust, which really sports up that NSX engine note, installed a big carbon fiber wing, and swapped out my cluster with a mileage-matched cool digital cluster from a Honda S2000. That was another $1,944 just down the drain, and once again, 50% of you just hated my cluster mod, and I had to endure more pithy comments from you people doing your best using the anonymity of the internet to just make me cry. So when you put those mods in with the $2,100 clutch job, I now have just shy of $47,000 into this NSX. Now, $40,000 is a pretty realistic price that I could actually sell my NSX for, but since it's so far from stock at this point, it might actually be a little challenging to get. This means I've lost at least $7,000 driving this thing about 2,000 miles over the course of a year. And if I had just kept it stock and done zero mods to it, it would have been worth about the same, except I would have less than $38,000 invested, and I would be flipping it for a profit. Slow clap, everybody. But here's the thing. I initially planned on selling this car after a year. Kind of like my editor over at autotrader.com/oversteer, link below, Doug DeMuro, does with his Doug cars. You all regularly accuse me of ripping off his shtick, which is true. Without Doug's guidance and example, I'd just be mumbling all this to myself in my basement while watching Top Gear reruns. But anyway, back on track. I'm actually conflicted about selling this car because I love it way too much. This NSX is just perfect. It looks great, it's reliable, and it's dirt cheap to fix, and attracts attention from people you want to get noticed by. It's also relaxing and comfortable to drive, but still fun, and you can run it through all the gears with its fantastic 5-speed gearbox without grossly exceeding the speed limit, and I have zero worries about hopping into this car and driving it cross country. And I guess it's because that it's so good and such a smart vehicle to own that you all never watch any of the videos that I make on it. It's no surprise that I get more views with my stupider, money-sucking lost causes, which means I'll never, ever make money on YouTube, ever. And my 2004 basket case Bentley is a prime example of this, as that Bentley will probably ruin my life, but has 5 times the views in only 3 videos, while I've made like, well, I'm getting past my Malibu. I've made like 8 videos on this NSX. Now, if I keep the NSX, I might look into some forced induction like a supercharger, even though I said I would never do that, and would certainly take it on some road trips to some cool car events, which my travel videos, like my NSX series, bomb for the most part. Now, if I sell it, I would just use the money to do something crazy, which is probably what you all want, like buying the cheapest Ferrari Testarossa in the USA, but that's really stupid. So is my next move going to be for my own happiness and mental health, or to keep feeding the beast that has become the most masochistic YouTube channel since that guy who purposely gets himself bitten by poisonous snakes, or the financial equivalent of eating Tide Pods? And as I bring this NSX back home, I really can't picture my garage without it, which probably means I'll end up keeping the NSX and taking out a second mortgage to do more stupid stuff. FML and TUFW. Thank you for watching, I think.